Hello everyone, welcome back to another video. From today onwards, we are going to start a new session in which we will cover all the important topics of air pollution. This will be the first part in which these following topics will be covered, and at last we will also see some questions, so make sure to watch it till end. First of all, we should be very clear that what is air pollution. As we already know that pure air is the mixture of different gases including nitrogen, oxygen, argon and carbon dioxide which has fixed proportion. So, if this air changes in character or composition in small but significant way by any means, it is known as air pollution. In simple words, we can say that the change in the composition of air is known as air pollution. Now, let's see the definition of air pollutant and air pollution according to Air Prevention and Control of Pollution Act 1981. Here, air pollution means the presence in the atmosphere of any air pollutant, and air pollutant means any solid, liquid or gaseous substance including noise present in the atmosphere in such concentration as it may be or tend to be injurious or harmful to living or non-living things of the environment. There are four main types of air pollution sources. First is the mobile sources. These are the sources of pollutants which are not fixed in a place and are moving. For example, aeroplanes, cars, trucks, buses and motorcycles. Second is the stationary sources. These are the sources of pollutants which are fixed in a place or are at a single location, and they include the power plants, industries and power stations. Third is the area sources, which are made up of lots of small pollution sources, and they include agriculture areas, cities and wood burning fireplaces. Last is the natural sources, which includes the pollutants emitted in the atmosphere through natural activities, for example lightning, volcanoes, wildfires and forest. The pollutants can be classified in two categories. First is the primary pollutant and second is secondary pollutant. Primary pollutant can be defined as any air pollutant which is emitted directly from a source, whereas the secondary pollutant is not directly emitted as such but forms when the other primary pollutants react in the atmosphere. The examples of primary pollutants are carbon monoxide, nitric oxide, sulfur dioxide, volatile organic compounds, particulates and nitrogen dioxide, whereas the examples of secondary pollutants are sulfur trioxide, nitric acid, ozone, hydrogen peroxide and sulfuric acid. One important point to note is these secondary pollutants are more harmful than primary pollutants, as these are formed because of the combination of two primary pollutants. Now, let's know about the criteria air pollutants. There are 6 major pollutants that has been designated by the Environment Protection Agency as criteria pollutants. So, the criteria is a term which is used to describe air pollutants that have been regulated and are used as indicators of general air quality. The 6 criteria air pollutants are carbon monoxide, ground level ozone, lead, sulfur dioxide, particulate matter and nitrogen dioxide. Now, let's know about each of them one by one in detail. First is the carbon monoxide. Carbon monoxide is known as carbonous oxide and it is a colorless, odorless and poisonous gas which is mainly formed from incomplete combustion of carbon containing fuels. The natural sources of carbon monoxide are volcanic eruption, forest fires and paddy fields. The anthropogenic sources of carbon monoxide are exhaust of internal combustion of vehicles with petrol engines. Second is burning of carbon fuels like biomass and coal. Third is organic combustion and waste incineration. And fourth is iron smelting. The removal of carbon monoxide is done by hydroxyl radical and almost 80% of carbon monoxide is removed by reacting with this radical. Hydroxyl radical is one of the most reactive and short-lived species which is the oxidizing agent and only forms in the presence of sunlight. Carbon monoxide has many adverse effects. First is it is an asphyxiant, which means that it decreases the overall oxygen carrying capacity of blood to cells, which results into oxygen deficiency, that is known as hypoxia condition. It also has 200 times more affinity than carbon dioxide towards hemoglobin. That's why it combines readily with blood and forms carboxy hemoglobin. Some important points about carbon monoxide are: first, it is the single largest urban pollutant. Second, it is one of the indoor air pollutant which is caused due to tobacco smoking. Third, it also takes part in formation of tropospheric ozone. Second important criteria air pollutant is ground level ozone. Ozone is light blue gas which is soluble in water and non-polar solvent with specific sharp smell. The formula of ozone is O3, which has 3 molecules of oxygen. Naturally, ozone is present in stratosphere, which is known as good ozone. Here, it is present in the form of ozone layer, which is about 10 and 50 km above the troposphere. This layer is known as protective layer because it protects us from the ultraviolet radiations from like UVB and UVC. The ground level ozone, which is also known as bad ozone or tropospheric ozone, constitutes about 10% of the total ozone and is formed by the reaction between oxides of nitrogen and volatile organic compounds in the presence of sunlight. The other source of ground level ozone is the electronic equipments as photocopies. Ground level ozone is a principal gas in the formation of photochemical smog. Second, it is also an important greenhouse gas which has strong absorption band from 9 to 10.6 micrometer. Ozone is powerful oxidizing agent and it helps in the formation of hydroxyl radical. The formation and destruction of ozone layer is given by the Chapman mechanism. The ozone layer is measured by Dobson unit and 1 Dobson is equal to 0.01 millimeter of ozone. Next important criteria air pollutant is lead, which is bright, silvery, soft, dense, ductile, bluish white metal that has poor electrical conductivity and is highly resistant to corrosion. The natural sources of lead include food, which is absorbed by plants, and air, which is present in inorganic particulates. The anthropogenic sources of lead are: first is waste incineration, second is paint, that is red paint, which is used for outdoor protection of metals, third is burning gasoline containing tetraethyl lead fuel, fourth is the metal smelting, and fifth is battery manufacturing. Lead has many adverse effects. First, it causes lead poisoning, which is also known as plumbism. It damages central nervous system and can also reduce the cognitive capacity of young children. Lead causes blood disorders like anemia and also results in increase in the blood pressure. Next important criteria air pollutant is particulate matter. Particulate matter are anything solid or liquid which are suspended in the air. There are two types of particulate matter. First is particulate matter 10, which is known as PM10, and second is PM2.5. The particulate matter 10 are the respirable suspended particulate matter, which are the inhalable particles with diameters that are generally 10 micrometers and smaller, whereas PM2.5 are fine particles with diameters that are generally 2.5 micrometers and smaller. The natural sources of particulate matters are: first is the primary, that means it is directly emitted as sea salt spray, dust, fumes, smoke and soot. The anthropogenic sources of particulate matter includes the secondary pollutants which are formed after the reactions in the atmosphere, that is sulfates, nitrates and organics, which are formed from gas to particle conversion. The particulate matter scatter electromagnetic radiations which cause global cooling effect, and they also absorb electromagnetic radiation which cause global warming effect. Particulate matter also take part in the smog formation, and they also cause respiratory damage. Some important points about particulate matter are: they are commonly known as aerosols. They can emit, absorb and scatter electromagnetic radiation. Third, they serve as cloud nuclei in cloud formation. Fourth, the removal of particulate matter takes from dry and wet deposition. Particulate matters have very irregular shape and size, but they are described by the aerodynamic diameter, and their settling velocity is given by this formula. Air pollutant is sulfur dioxide, which is colorless, bad smelling toxic gas and is a part of larger group of chemicals referred to as sulfur oxides. The natural sources of sulfur dioxide are volcanic eruptions and dimethyl sulfide, which is emitted into the atmosphere from the planktons in the oceans. The anthropogenic sources include combustion of coal and other fossil fuels, second, petroleum refineries, third is the cement production, and fourth is copper smelting. The sulfur dioxide takes part in the formation of industrial or London smog, which is also known as sulfurous smog. Second, it corrodes the carbonate containing materials and damages the aesthetic properties. Third, it causes irritation to mucous membrane of respiratory system and results in bronchitis. Fourth, it also takes part in the formation of acid rain. If you want to know more about acid rain, you can check the video given in the description. Some important points about sulfur dioxide is: first, coal has highest amount of sulfur in all fossil fuels, and petroleum has 1 ppm of sulfur. Second, natural gas contains considerable amount of sulfur in the form of hydrogen sulfide, which has to be removed before use. Last important criteria air pollutant is nitrogen dioxide. As we know that there are 7 oxides of nitrogen, you can read about them from here. In our syllabus, we just have to read about 2 important nitrogen oxides. First is the nitric oxide, that is NO, and second is the nitrogen dioxide, that is NO2. So now let's know about them. Nitrogen dioxide is a reddish brown toxic gas with a characteristic sharp smell and is a prominent air pollutant. Natural sources of nitrogen dioxide are lighting, forest fires, and bacterial activity of soil. There are 2 anthropogenic sources of oxides of nitrogen. First is thermal NOx, which is formed when nitrogen and oxygen in combustion air are heated at high temperature. Second is fuel NOx, which is formed due to the combustion of nitrogen containing fuel. One important point to notice that here in urban areas, because of more automobiles and vehicles, fuel NOx is dominant source of nitrogen dioxide. Nitrogen dioxide is an irritant to nose and it increases susceptibility to respiratory infections. It also takes part in the formation of acid rain by forming nitric acid. It is also a precursor of ozone, which is formed in troposphere. Nitrogen dioxide form atmospheric fine particulate because of the result of oxidation, which forms nitrate aerosols that are secondary air pollutant. Now let's see some important points about nitrogen dioxide. As we know that the oxides of nitrogen, which is represented as NOx, is a generic term for a group of highly reactive gases that contain nitrogen and oxygen in varying amount. So this NOx is emitted as nitrogen oxide, which rapidly oxidizes to more toxic nitrogen dioxide. Second is the nitrogen dioxide helps in the formation of ozone, whereas the nitric oxide destroys ozone. Now, at last, let's see some questions to recall what we have learned today. After reading the question, I will wait for some seconds so that you can also guess the answer. First question is assertion reason type of a question, in which assertion states that traffic policemen in urban centers generally suffer from oxygen deficiency, and reason given here is carbon dioxide forms a very strong complex with hemoglobin. So as we know that it is carbon monoxide which causes oxygen deficiency or hypoxia condition when it forms a strong complex with hemoglobin. So here reason will be incorrect, and our correct option will be option 3, which states that assertion is true but reason is false. Second question is, besides steam, next gas in order of abundance emitted from a volcanic eruption is. And here the correct option will be option 3, that is carbon dioxide. Next question is, which of the following criteria pollutant are under National Ambient Air Quality Standards? As we know that the carbon dioxide and nitrate are not the criteria air pollutant, so after eliminating option B and E, we will get our correct answer, which will be option 2. Fourth question is, primary air pollutants differ from secondary air pollutants as they. And here the correct option will be option 2, as they are directly emitted from the identified sources. Next question is assertion reason type of a question, in which assertion states ozone depletion in stratosphere causes melanoma, which is a type of skin cancer, and reason here is ozone is a gas which largely absorbs UVA radiation. As we know that UVA is low energy but high wavelength ultraviolet radiation which comes on earth and is not absorbed by ozone, so our reason here will be incorrect. It is UVB which is largely absorbed by the ozone layer. So here our correct option will be option 3, that is assertion is true but reason is false. Sixth question is, 1 Dobson unit represents the ozone layer of thickness. And here the correct option will be option 3, that is 100 of a millimeter. Seventh question is, identify the most dominant pollutant in terms of its concentration levels in urban atmosphere. So here the correct option will be option D, that is carbon monoxide. Eighth question is, a non-metal X occurs in nature in free state. It combines with hydrogen to form a gas which is colorless and highly toxic. Apart from this, X is oxidized to XO2, which is a colorless, pungent and irritating gas. So, what is X here? Our correct option will be option 1, that is sulphur. Sulphur is a non-metal which is colorless and highly toxic, which combines with oxygen to form sulphur dioxide. Ninth question is, which of the following is the major source of sulphur dioxide? And here the correct option will be option D, that is volcanic activity, which results about 65% of total emission of sulfur dioxide. Next question is, the rate of settling of airborne particles in the atmosphere varies with their aerodynamic diameter d as here the correct option will be option second, which states that the settling velocity of air particle is directly proportional to the square of diameter. 10th question is also assertion reason type of question, in which assertion states carbon monoxide can contribute to photochemical smog problem in cities, and reason given here is because it aids in formation of surface ozone. As here both assertion and reason are correct, and reason is the correct explanation, so our correct option will be option 1. Next question is, carbon monoxide is harmful to human beings as it and here the correct option will be option 4, as it has high affinity with hemoglobin as compared to oxygen. Last question is also assertion reason type of a question, in which assertion states aerosols have potential for modifying the climate, and reason here is aerosols interact with both short wave and infrared radiation. As here both assertion and reason are correct, and reason is the correct explanation, so our correct option here will be option A. So that's all for today. Hope you liked it. There are some more questions which I will be providing in the PDF, which you can download from the link given in the description. We will come back with another video. Till then, thanks for watching.